Hello world. Hello camera. How's everybody doing today? Well, it's sometime in May 2016, and I guess, these kind of videos, as far as being a parent, this video will go out to parents. Not a lot of my subs talk about their kids, and I don't talk about my kids a lot. It's kind of one of those things where if you are a parent, you just, hey, that's just what it is. But I really wanted to talk about, how much is too much, to worry about messes, to worry about how a kid's going to do when they grow up, or worry about small habits. We've learned in recent years that, we've always known it, but the more, science and research they do, the more they find out that those first, 5, 6 years, 7 years, formative years, important ones, are very important to who we end up being. But we don't know how important. In other words, we know that certain effects in our childhood give us certain personality traits that can reflect through the culture, but we also don't know how much genetics play a role in that as well. And there's a lot of dispute to whether not genetics are fully responsible for certain things, or if maybe there's more to it. That certain behaviors that we gain in our lifetime. I mean, it's obvious that genetics change during our lifetime. They have to, because they're passed on, and we gain new immunities and whatnot to certain diseases. Animals are amazing. Plants are even more amazing. I mean, they've adapted. They have many more genes than even humans. So plants have learned to raise their young. It's funny because we used to think that plants fought and competed completely. You see a forest, you think, oh, they're fighting for space. I saw a study where they put a bag with radioactive gas over the branch of a tree. They came back and they traced it back through the tree branch, down into the roots, and over to the baby tree, which wasn't an offshoot of this tree. It was an actual seed that it was growing. And the mycelium which is the mushroom mat, is the connection between the plants. So here we have a network that's a symbiotic relationship. We have the mycelium growing, which is helping them out, and then we have each side of the each tree which is gaining, because the mother's gaining by raising her young and passing it off, her genetics. And anyway, it's very interesting that plants rear their young. I could go on that forever, but more about that on another video. I think I made one a long time ago. By the way, it's really hot out. It's like 80 degrees here, Portland, but it's 90 degrees. I was in there, and my kids were eating. We got a new couch, and you know how it is when you get a new couch. We'd already told them, you can't be eating on the couch. They destroyed a couch in 6 months. It was a 3 and a 6-year-old. I mean, we knew they would. Didn't make a big deal about it. We bought one used from the neighbor for $50, but it was like a beige white couch. Just got annihilated. Markers, stains, cuts, pee marks, you name it. So this year we're like, screw it, we'll just wait, and finally we found another used one, but it was in nice condition, pretty much new, and just bought it, put it in there, and told them they can't eat on it. And just as they were eating on it, they were eating goldfish crackers, and I'm like, don't eat on the couch. And right then on the cartoon we were watching, it said, what did he say? Life is messy. And it cracked me up, because that's one of my favorite quotes. I always say that whenever there's a mess. Life is messy. And of course it's derived from this old commercial you may remember, or not. I think it's Bounty or one of those things, back when I had TV, those commercials really fucking stick in your head. Life is messy, clean it up. It's true, that's how it is, but I only pay attention to the first part. Life is messy. I don't clean it up as much as I should. But sometimes I wonder, I guess is my point, how much do you have to worry about how much your kids clean shit up, You want your kids to grow up responsible, and you want them to grow up respectful. But, it's very difficult, especially when you have in-laws, grandparents, let's say, that they know the mistakes they've made raising kids, and they don't want to see you make the same mistakes. But you know that you will, and they know that you will, because that's just how humans are. It's human nature. We want to try things out on our own, but it's more than that. It's not that we're just stubborn parents and we don't want to listen to our, the grandparents. It's that things are harder. They seem easier when you're not actually doing it anymore. Because looking back on something is always much easier. But also, the things that we think might work on one kid aren't going to work on another. And I think that we worry maybe way too much about kids' manners and kids, okay, let me back up. We need to teach our children manners by far, but by manners I mean we just need to teach them to say please and thank you and be respectful and realize and be grateful for things and take gratitude, but not professional manners and napkin folding and all that bullshit. That old European shit, that's got to go. That's prestige, and that's what separates classes. We don't need any more of that. But I understand how humans want to be something greater and, set up their nice little forks and everything and make sure that their children are prim and proper and they go to these little, special schools that, what does it do for the kid, really? What does it teach them to do? Does it give them a head start of what? Making money? But in today's world, we've seen that doesn't matter anymore. So it is kind of laughable to look at it and see that, kids hate that shit. They want to get out of it. They don't want you pushing them into something. And I know it's easier said, when I have like 2 young kids, but I also have a son who's 21. And, when the college time came, I know what it's like to tell your kid, hey, you have the option, I'm not going to make you feel guilty like you should go to college. My opinion isn't for or against college. It's just whatever you want to do. I don't care. If you're a human, do what you want to do. And of course you want to give them some advice too. And my advice, of course, would have been, at the point, don't go to college just because the student loans are just too much. But anyway, that's a different story altogether. The fact is, a person can do very well with very menial amount of money. You can go to a public, community college and do pretty well as a kid, but these kids who are raised with all these special, superficial, ideas of what it's to be human, I don't know, it's just too much. But as a parent, it's very difficult to you cannot let your kid tread on you, you can't let him step on you. And most of us parents, we correct our children in our own time, when nobody else is around. But when you have friends or family around, they might think that you're overly tolerant of your kids. They might think that you just let your kids walk all over you or whatnot, because maybe they interrupt or maybe they do something else. But in the end, you realize that, and then I don't know. Everybody understands what it's like if they've had kids. So, but then there's other people, that that I know people who've never had kids that are just like, oh my God. How do you handle it? How can you stand it? The people who have been there, so that's where the grandparents come in, and they're very helpful, and, it's nice to have people around who understand, but even if you do understand and you've been there, you forget really quickly as a parent, you really do. It's easy to forget what happened a year ago, and then you go through it again. Say with the second kid, like my youngest kids are 3 years apart, and I have to watch them go through, the 3-year-old go through the stages the 6-year-old went through just 3 years ago, and I already forget what it was like. Like, what time did he start? When did he stop potty training? And when did he do this? When did he learn how to read? And yeah, on top of the fact about manners and shit, I'll tell you what, one of the hardest things about raising kids today is the availability of technology and the internet. And you can let it work for or against you. And I'm still working the system to figure out exactly what the best method is for a 6-year-old that wants to play Minecraft, let's say. So he wanted to play Minecraft last year. And we bought it for him, but just the Pocket Edition on the iPad. And he gets like half an hour twice a day to play, if he wants to play. And it's hard because kids just they want to create. He's like, look what I built, and it's this crazy contraption with redstone and switches and all this stuff. And if you don't know Minecraft, you wouldn't know, but there's redstone is basically like circuits, and kids are using Minecraft now because I researched it as a parent. If my kid's going to play this game, I want to know, does it have some value? And come to find out, the kids are playing it and using it to build circuits and functional calculators and crazy stuff. That's just it's pretty amazing, and the potential for it is vast. It's basically a way to introduce kids to graphically creating and inventing things, which is a pretty amazing thing. Kids are pretty darn smart. yeah, so, you know, that part of it, the technology part is tough. Raising kids that, you know, and worrying about whether or not they're going to, you know, grow up as these tech freaks that can't get along with people. I think that's kind of an unwarranted fear, because I think kids are going to do whatever they want to do, and they're not going to. In other words, the next gen. Hold on, I'll hold that thought, because I have to. I see my kid. He has a question. I know. Did you have a question? All in all, I guess that's it. You know, it's a challenge. You allow them to to play with these devices where they're playing these games, and you wonder if they're learning. And then I think back to when I was a kid, and I'm like, if I had the shit, I'd be playing it too. Honestly, I was always the guy that wanted the Game Boy. I grew up in the 80s, and we had an Atari. Then we moved on to ColecoVision, and that was hot shit. And after ColecoVision, we finally got a freaking Nintendo. I don't think I ever got one myself, but my friends had one. And then what comes out later, I did, you know, the Game Boy, no, the PlayStation. Frick, I don't know the order of it, but they were all interesting. They were all fun, but they weren't that educational. Asteroids, you know, Space Invaders, shit like that. Arcade games. When I was a kid, the older kids played the games, and I was jealous of them. I was like, wow, I wish I could play those with them, you know, and I never thought it was cool enough, you know. And over the years, I was like, I never really played a lot of the, like Joust was always the older kids game, you know. But anyway, that's a different subject. I started playing games, but I never really got into games super, you know. But if I had, I, you know, would have probably realized I'm not gaining anything from it. You learn how to play a game, and then it's over. But if you're learning how to build circuits and you're learning how to do things, the games of today are just crazy. SimCity, things like that. I mean, kids can learn how planning works in a city. Oh, can't put that there, you know. Oh, people need more water. It's pretty amazing. And if you think about the implications of that, teaching a kid how a city goes together when he's 5 years old, that might revolutionize, you know, certain things. Now the other one needs something. So I guess I'm going to go. I'll talk to y'all later. Raising kids is tough. That was my point. I'll talk to y'all soon. Hey, buddy.